Testing, testing, one, two, amazing. Hello, noobs. Let's get it. I'm doing this video because, like, new people keep coming in and going through work concepts. It's a cycle that keeps repeating itself, so I decided to make a video about it. Whoa. Wow, the camera is following me. Technology, huh? Amazing. Anyway, let's get to it. So I'm going to be explaining some basic work concepts, like not just a few are specific to our company, but mostly it's just general things you can use in whatever server, whatever circumstance, whichever company you find yourself in. So this is primarily for the company members, but it's going to be a public video. So if anyone is randomly watching this, hello. Let's get to it. First, let's talk about the basic setup, shall we say, as far as the meta since like a bit after launch, when people realized that this type of spread around the point is best, and that is the quad setup. Oh, but look at me, I'm huge. Gonna make myself a bit tinier. There we go. So yeah, this is like a point, and this is the basic quad setup as far as the four quad groups are concerned. With point groups, of course, also playing on point, where we can add the point groups. Let's add purple colors. So basically, one's probably playing somewhere in the front, and someone's probably somewhere in the back. Why are we playing like this? In New World, as you know, a lot of skills, or you may not know, a lot of skills. I mean, besides them being able to hit a lot of people with one skill, so that's just counterproductive from our standpoint. So that's why we're not trying to club too much or death ball. And also, the certain skills even get magnified with the more people there are present. Uh, that goes defense and offense side. I mean, it goes for both sides. But mostly the heals, sacred grounds, that type of stuff, it doesn't stack, which means you can't really death ball. You will always be on the receiving end if you clump too much because it's just the way the balance of the game is set up to prevent death balls, which you had in other games. I was playing, for example, Guild Wars 2 in the World versus Worlds scene. Anyway, we're playing the quad, so we kind of get spread around the point, still playing close enough to support each other, but not completely stacked together, so we're like juicy targets for the enemy team. And that's kind of the basic of why the setup exists. Now let's go through the basic, just basically go through the roles that are usually used. And let's start with healers, which I know the least amount about, but I'll just try to go over just a few things. Let's use this color because it's nicer. So, as far as the sacred grounds are concerned, for the four quad healers, you all have like one healer. Each quad group has one healer, and the sacred ground placement ideally is like somewhere like this, shall we say? Because then we have four sacred grounds in theory from the quad groups that are half on point, half outside, which means like areas for the point groups to play in, the tanks and survive easier. And then of course two more sacreds basically from the 2 point groups, which means we can in theory almost fill the entire point with sacreds and go outside of it to support the other bruisers going outside to fight a bit. Um, of course, this is never going to be an ideal situation, so certain times you're gonna have to use the sacred over here because like the bruiser is having trouble and you're engaging there or whatever. That's completely understandable and normal and nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that if you if like you should be doing that as a group. Like not only should the healers be aware of this, but also the bruisers as far as their positioning is concerned and making it easier for them to do this. Uh, you should never be like going way away from the point unless called to do it because like as mentioned we need to support each other as a unit. That's why the setup is the way it is. Like the moment one element moves away, we're not as compact and not as strong as an army, as a zerg, as we as we are when using this formation. The other thing about healers is, of course, positioning. Supports and healers, you'll you really have to be mindful and aware of your positions. So basically, this is bottom for us, which means this is our safe side, shall we say. Uh, the usual mind, I mean, the usual thought process for most healers, especially in the beginning, is okay, I'm just gonna stay somewhere here in the back, and this is gonna be safe. And yeah, sure, sometimes it's gonna be safe, you're gonna have some space, but you should be way more dynamic with your movement and with your positioning. Like a lot of the times, for example, for top quads that will be playing on our weak side, or like if this is our weak side, if their enemy is anywhere here and their, for example, their healers are healing here and they're stacking here. That means, like for example, for this quad especially, and even maybe for this quad and this quad, if you're close enough, like depending on where exactly this is, but a healer from any of these groups can actually hide in between these healers, and as long as you're the only red in there, people won't even notice you, and you can be a ninja a lot of the times. And then when you get trouble, just peel into our people. Like, don't go away, don't go into Narnia. So finding positions that enable you to free cast or be efficient, that's very important. So don't just be looking at your teammates at the health bar of the teammates, but also be like mindful of how the battlefield looks, where there's space for you to be, or where you can infiltrate as one of the sheeple. That's that. Skill usage, stuff like that. That's more for the academy and stuff like that. We're just going with very basic stuff. For the supports, um, okay, the tomb is the tomb. Like we're just gonna go through the IG part separately and the VG part separately. So for the VG's part and the nukes and the screams, always, the ideal way to engage, as far as the quad, a normal quad engagement is, your bruiser engages with the gravity well, and then, only then, do you pop Scream and Oblivion and or bond them. Uh, if you're trying to go for the hero plays with the screams, a lot of the times you'll miss, and even if you hit, like there's usually not the follow-up damage quick enough, and the burst isn't there to get through the healing or the defenses of the people that you're targeting. So you really need to combine, and the easiest way to combine all of that is through a grav well. So that's the most, the strongest initiator for quads, and probably just for group play, for is grav well is the shit. So use it, and also don't get greedy when using the skills from the VG, because for example, if the bomb is happening here, um, you might naturally want to get, like for example, if you're from the top right quad. Uh, so your positioning is probably then coming from the top or coming from the left, like not coming from the bottom, because there's already people here, or you're already here. So when you when someone engage, when the graph falls, you should scream, but like if you go completely close and try to be greedy and try to hit every one of them with the scream, you'll probably get clamped up into the bomb, which means a lot of the times you'll get stuck in there and you'll get nuked with the counter bomb. So positioning is really important when using the VG. Don't get too greedy. I would rather see you like go if this is the bomb. So go a bit further up, like just hit three people here, like in this part, throw the obliv that basically just goes halfway, shall we say. I'm gonna make this a bit more obvious. So if this is the engagement, going to purple now. So you're here. So you're screaming basically just this part, and the obliv will basically go half out and half onto the clump. Because if you're gonna try to throw those two skills on top of the whole bomb that we're doing, you're usually just gonna die, and that's never worth it. So rather a bit less greedy, a bit fewer people that you catch, but make it more effective because you survive and you can actually follow up with stuff. Because for example, after you throw that, we want to close them in. We want to prevent them from escaping. So how do we do that? We do that with showers. So if you're here, like you see on which part of the engagement you are. Like if you're on top of the engagement, try to close them in here with a shower so they can't go up. Like down, they won't go down because that's the point. They can't escape there. So these two options are basically mostly the only options that are available to them. So either the VG from point, I mean the IG from point can freeze this, shower this, or the yellow one can and the orange. Like you try to combine. The ideal situation is, I mean, even one here. We completely trap them in, and then we can nuke them, and they die, even if they didn't die in the first nuke. Um, so there's just things we try to go for. The ideas we're trying to activate. I have no idea. I lost my words. But yeah, like the ideal ways or positioning or usage of these skills is for those purposes. On top of that, just talk about the storm quickly. So you should never use it as a nuke on the. I mean, never. If there's nothing else, sure, pop it on as a stat pad. But like the storm by itself will not do much on the bomb or that we're doing or spike or whatever. It's much more useful as a zoning tool for getting rid of healers or making them switch positions. Because if, for example, if they're free casting here, just bam, throw it on here, and they're forced to move either here or even closer. And that removes one position from them, and that takes 1 or 2 seconds for them to reposition, maybe even use a skill, maybe even cancel a skill uh, in panic. So shower storms primarily and mostly should be used for zoning, not damage dealing zoning, taking away space. Uh, that's the support part. The bruisers, I mean, you're initiating and doing the combos that you should know how to throw. But especially bruisers should be listening to the next part because we're going to talk about bombs and counter bombs and the 4 stages. Because there's usually, I mean, in theory, there's a bomb, there's a counter bomb, and then there could be an additional. Usually, you use a different phrase for it. Let's call it a spike. So bomb, counter bomb, spike, counter spike. Because when you bomb, you don't use cooldowns from both sets. You don't even usually use cooldowns from one weapon set because you don't have time for that. An effective bomb is 1, 2, maybe 3 seconds long. And in that time, you basically jump in, throw 1, 2 skills, get out. We're dying a lot of times because we're spending too much time in the bomb, which gives them time to react and counter bomb us from the outside when we're not ready, because we just use stuff on that. So very important to be not to not be greedy and to be disciplined in these types of situations. And it's really a thing we need to work on, at least as far as our company is concerned, a lot, because it's happening all the time, more or less. Rarely are bombs looking the way they should be. Either there's not enough people engaging, or there's people are standing inside for too long. And then, like, even if we do a nice bomb, we wipe them, we lose all the advantage we gained by staying there and allowing them to wipe us. Um, that's one, and basically not one. That's the core ideas. Yeah, that are needed here. We'll talk about decks a bit later, um, cause yeah, I guess we'll talk it a bit later when we're going over the two types of warfare, shall we say, defense and attack. And for that, let's go to a rate plan, I guess. Mm, This is already full screen. No. Let's use a plan, whichever plan. So Morningdale defense. Let's say this is defenses are. This is an interesting one. Why? I guess this was a very specific one. Let me change to a different one, please. Okay, this is more of a classic defense. So defense and attack is it's very different types of stuff you're trying to achieve, but in essence, the outside part is always 100% about creating imbalances of the map or on the map and using that to your advantage. That is even more or less true across PvP. It's just that the types of advantages then change depending on what type of fight we're talking about. But when defending, why are we basically usually not just us, everyone leaving one point to free cap? Because it's very difficult to do crisp, perfect rotations and match their numbers of like splits that the attackers are doing. It's almost impossible when you have holding three flags because you'll get imbalanced on one part and then you just don't have time to rotate. So it's not feasible unless you're just skill-wise 3 levels above the other company and you want to work up them. That's why usually you leave one point and then you focus one Zerg, I mean the main Zerg, just in the beginning for the opener to absorb any hit on B that is potentially happening. Because also, if they like the only other option for this to be a problem would be for if they were to split, let's say 25-25 to A and C. But in this case, you still have the main Zerg which can rotate as a unit with leaving a few groups there to one of the side flags and then wiping them there because we have more people and then going back to B. So leaving one flag and then more or less trying to play reactionary always. So that's why comms are very important, especially from the because the main shot caller will usually be in the main Zerg. But had a small problem with the headphones, so I think I probably deleted this part by now. If not, you enjoyed some silence. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, communication. This is the main shot caller is going to be anyway. So that's why it's really important for at least someone, or preferably even more than one person, on the side points to be able to call for rotations and to be mindful of the rotations all the time. Because the shot caller won't see, like, unless there's an obvious lack of numbers of the enemy that they're sending people here. These two groups are, for example, in this example, the first ones to notice rotations, and they should be the ones calling for the rotations. Because generally, what we want to achieve here as defenders, basically, we can think of it as a zone defense, like in basketball. We're just trying to keep this zone basically safe to ourselves, and we're moving with accordance to the pressure that they're applying. Like if they're applying pressure, let's pick red. If they're applying pressure from mostly from here and from here, then of course this is okay. But if then they start like applying more pressure from here, we have to adjust. We have to send people from here to there. Also, they might give some sneaky flanks like this, or stuff like this. I don't know. I mean, we all always have to adjust depending on what they're doing on defense. It's just how the game is set up. Not really. You're just reacting to the attackers. So there's not really much. Uh, uh, I mean, that's the core concept. We're just trying to hold a zone. This is our safe place, our haven. So this is our space, and no one's allowed in from there. And that's the idea. That's as far as defense is concerned. Oh, one more thing. When holding the last flag, yeah, why we don't want to hold B as the last? Because then they have basically two points of attack uh, from C, from A, I mean 3 points of attack basically, which means it's very vulnerable, more difficult to defend because you're very susceptible to flanks from all the sides. Um, Compared to the other way around, if you're on the side flag, like it's a very limited amount of things that they can do. These were different types of counterplays for a very specific company we were playing against. Might have even been bananas or mango. Um, and yeah, so that's why this is kind of usually what something like this you might have one here, but this is usually completely safe because they are coming in from this, so and around here. So this is the side that's gonna be most under pressure, which means like this is the side that usually gets the most action in these types of situations. But of course, you always have to be mindful of the flanks of the stuff happening around. That's defense in a nutshell, I think. Uh, we're just talking over like the quads, the main Zerg. We'll talk about deck specifically because it's a unique role compared to the other army. Um, yeah, so defense. Yeah, but maybe just one more thing as far as defense is concerned. Like as far as the opener is concerned, so the original engagement immediately after the start, when we go out of fort in this case and they come out of war camp. Ideally, we want to make them throw the first bomb, the first engagement, the first skill salvo into us, absorb that, because we have like all the cooldowns in that case in the beginning, and then rebomb them. Because an effective rebomb or a respike, whatever, is always more effective than a normal one. Just because of the fact that if you absorb that, you have everything available to you and they don't. Plus, they're usually out of position and grouped up, and that's even more important because that makes it a lot easier for you to nuke them and like focus them. That's that. Now let's go through attack because that's a bit different. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, as far as attack, so we already talked about the imbalances in numbers wise. So that's basically the core concept, especially for outside. Um, in the beginning, as an attacker, usually you want to secure at least one of the side flags and uh, just A, so you can guarantee they can't work camp you, and B, just so you can get that out of the way, see which one is clear it, and then focus your energy on the other stuff. Uh, because of the inherent advantage of attackers outside, like a good time uh, in normal wars for you to take 2 points would be like 5 minutes, maybe a bit more, a bit less, I don't know. But around 5 minutes is okay because that gave you like three, let's say, four tries at an attack. Three, two, three, I don't know, depending on how fast you are and regrouping and stuff like that. But by then you should already have taken one of the 2 points just because you can apply pressure from different sides. You can do splits, and usually the reaction comes too late, just because they can't rotate until they're sure, and also on the rotate they get desynced. A lot of reasons, but that's kind of the idea. Um, uh, and yeah, so we're trying to create balances and make that our advantage. So this is just an example of like this was our initial split on this particular strat, and then we had options on how to do the splits from that moment on. We also had reset positions from both because a lot of the times they even left B. But this is like a very specific thing for a very specific company at a very specific moment for a very specific war against a very specific opponent. So no point in going over this. Um, when attacking just one point, like whichever point this is, if it's this or whatever it is, you get into the 50-50. So there's no more flanking, there's no more numbers advantage, uh, that type of stuff. So what you're trying to do, of course, is bomb efficiently. And oh, okay, let me go back a bit. When there's still two flags, for example, available or free or whatever, just a general thing. How do we? It it has to do with creating advantages and an important thing to be mindful of when you're fighting against the enemy on a side point, on whichever point. If they have the advantage, which means they have like more people there. You should be trying to keep them there and playing live. You shouldn't be trying to kill them and go for the hero play. You should be keeping them there as long as you can, because that means that somewhere else on the map we have an advantage. And if we play that advantage correctly and they don't here, we get, the upper hand in that type of situation. So if, for example, 7 and 8 are fighting here and they have 15 people defending them, they shouldn't be trying to cap the C. They should be trying to still applying pressure and moving back a bit, but not completely running away. So they're trying to keep them there, playing life, being annoying. Because that means that either A or B has at least one group less to fight against, and that means they can cap it. The other side of this is when you have the advantage, you should press it. For example, if this is a 10v10 and you win the fight, definitely go for C. Try to cap it as quick as possible before they get back. If it's if C is completely clear, just leave one guy here and send two people immediately to one of the other people. I mean, almost two full groups immediately to the other 2 points. One of the other 2 points, in this case B probably, just because if two groups are here, sure, the tick will happen a bit faster, but that means like there can be a wipe here done by them just because we have so much fewer people. So it's good to try to balance things out as much as we can and use our advantages, but know how to use our advantages. Because in this case, you could either keep 10 people here, or you could keep one person here and send 9 instantly to the fight. I personally think it's better for them to go into the fight because in this case, especially, there's no counterplay by them, like waiting for us to try to take and then rotating and then going out. Like no one does that, so it's a safe play. Yeah, so just that as far as the advantages and disadvantages. 50-50 is all about bombs, counter bombs, playing the positions, applying pressure, and again knowing when to play live and when to pressure them. Um, Especially when doing spikes, for example, for bombs. If a bomb is successful, if we get a wipe of 5, 7 people, the normal thing, as mentioned, is to go out of the bomb. But there's also exceptions to that, as is most times in life. So you should go out of bombs usually, but like if the shot caller recognizes that you got a major advantage, so you got a major wipe of 5, 7 people while you lost no one, that means they don't have enough people to counter bomb you. So that's a tempo move. So you're trying to use tempo into your advantage, and the shot caller in that case will scream, keep using them, keep going into them, push into them, push into them, because mm, in that case you want to keep applying the pressure and wipe even more of them because they don't have the structure that they need to withstand our pressure just because we did a major wipe. But that's a very specific thing, so maybe for now most of you should just forget what I said just now and just go out of the bomb still after 1 or 2 seconds or 3 seconds. 2 seconds, let's say 2 seconds. Um, so that's yeah. One more thing is stepping on point. So when we're calling step on point, that doesn't mean clamp on point and have 5 people standing in 1 square meter. It means for the quad groups or even for the decks on that point, whatever, it means tiptoe in and out of the point. Get passive ticks, but don't clamp on the point. So you go in and out, zigzag, position, dodge, foof, 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 style on them, foo, spear, plu, plu, whatever. Um, yeah, that's it. Anything else as far as this is concerned? No. Um, just one more general note before we go to decks, because it applies to all the groups, but maybe even especially to decks. Comms within groups. For now, but at least Wolves, we're lacking in group comms. Like the VODs I'm watching, a lot of groups are very quiet, not a lot of calling going on, not a lot of engagement within the group, and that should change, to be honest. It's, I mean, it's much easier to get kills because you're actually all focusing the same targets, at least percentage-wise, more times than you are if you're not calling. And just generally, if you get used to calling like as a group and be active in comms, you'll be more engaged as a player, as a soldier, uh, and that usually means better results and better performance. Because otherwise, you just go into a flow state, something that you're used to. You're just spamming skills, not really paying attention to what you're doing or the reasoning why you're doing it. Because you should always understand the reasons why you're doing, why you're being told to do, or why you're doing the stuff you're doing. Not just I saw it somewhere, supposedly it's good. Uh, that type of stuff. Okay, so yeah, comms. Let's talk. Let's be communicative. Even if I understand it's not doesn't come naturally to a lot of people, but let's make the effort. Okay, let's move on to decks. The specific rules, at least in the current meta, a lot of heavy decks. Uh, we might switch at least one group to a light version or something like that. But generally, decks or the roaming groups, whatever, you have two types. You have kill squads. That means high DPS, high burst type of groups. And then you have disruptors, annoying, the heavy decks. So they do a lot of CC. They can. What's the difference? Like the heavy decks can actually uh, create space and control space, while the kill squads, the damage dealers type of group will never be able to sustain a fight uh, in a zone. Uh, it's just impossible. You have to go in and out, in and out, in and out, be and out. Find the fringes, find the engagements that are favorable to you, and use that and do it constantly. Uh, for decks or roaming groups, just generally, in general, like you should always, since you're always on the move, you should always be mindful of angles and use angles to your advantage. Which means look at the focus of the enemy, like where their focus is. If their focus isn't towards you, that means you have the perfect time to take advantage of that by flanking them, by getting them caught off guard, and combining skills in a way that you burst it down before they can react. That takes good communication, but also like hegemony within the group, so all the people know when to use and why, how to use the skills. Because if you're all gonna throw 5 stuns at the same time, it's a complete waste. You should be chaining stuns in this case on that target so they can get away and you can actually burst it down, or like there's different situations. But yeah, um, when going for kills, so let's talk about the kill squads. When going for kills, you should always be focusing the primary target is always the even if like people engage into you, you should always be going for the highest damage dealers that you can spot first, because A, they will be the squishiest, and B, they pose the most threat to your healer or to your guys if you're light especially, because they can burst you down. The other stuff your healer can usually help withstand, but the high burst types of classes should always be the priority. Then comes the healers, but like you should always take care of the highest damage dealers there. Like if anyone has the same burst, you should always focus that person first, because they can do too much damage in too short of a time to neglect. Um, and of course, creating space for your healers is super important, and that's how you do it. That I mean, for particular like Scorpion usage, that type of stuff, that's more of a internal thing for Dex coaches and stuff like that. But generally, the kill squads should always try to go. You shouldn't be just throwing skills, and the kill squad should be low on the total damage dealt at the end of the war, for example. But they should have the most kills, because you should be focusing single targets and just getting them one by one by one by one. Not getting greedy, not going for like mega clumps that you won't be able to finish. Finding perfect targets and using skills efficiently that you actually get kills. Um, as far as the heavy decks is concerned, you're basically there to disrupt the fuck out of everyone and create space and make it annoying for them and impossible for them, especially the healers, to play there. Because usually that means you'll either be as a counter to their decks, so you're helping in our backline, so you're just fighting them there, or you're aggressive in their backline and annoying healers and creating space there and running and attacking the people respawning from fort, let's say. Um, so yeah, it's different types of things, different types of roles that the group needs to fill, like within the army. So if heavy dex is trying to get kills and not focusing on spacing, creating space and room for other people to operate, or disrupting their healers, uh, it's not efficient. It's not what you're there for, because you don't have as much kill potential as a different sort of group. Because if we wanted you to do kills, we'd create a different group, a different setup. So know why the group is the way it is, and know your role as a group and your singular role within the group. And la 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 la. Anything else? Yeah, body blocking when attacking as a group. Like all the better players do it, the better groups, better war companies, we're still lacking in that department. So use body blocking to your advantage when you're engaging into someone. After the first stun, like if you all come from one direction, one direction, uh, immediately you should surround the person you're attacking. Like at least take a few angles that they can run to. Usually, when you see really good groups that are used to playing with each other, they will surround you. It's like five people around you, like a death ball, just penguins, just you know, rubbing against you. Uh, and we don't use that nearly enough. Be mindful of the mechanics that you can use to your advantage. So that's angles, that's body blocking, that I mean stuff that is beyond skill usage and maybe is less obvious, but can be very, very, very effective in an enormous amount of situations. I think that's that. Um, yeah, probably forgot a lot of stuff, but fuck it. At least it's something, right? Thanks to anyone that's watching, if this is even on the internet. If I'm gonna watch this now, and if it's not, Jan, hello, you just wasted an hour. Amazing.